by the time the wedding photographer screamed, I already had lipstick on my fingers and my ex's blood-red smile drying under my brush. No one in the bridal suite knew I was shaking because I wanted to run. They thought I was nervous because the woman in the mirror was beautiful. They thought I was quiet because I was hired help. They thought the high collar around my throat was a fashion choice. Only I knew the truth. Under that collar was the mark she had left on me 3 years ago. Not a full bond, not a clean claim, a coward's bite, a half-made promise buried in omega skin. And today I had been paid to make that same woman look perfect before she married someone else. My ex sat in front of me in a silk bridal robe, smiling like she had not ruined my life. Her bridesmaids laughed behind her. The champagne was cold. The room smelled of roses, powder, and money. Then the door opened. The alpha bride walked in, and the moment her grey eyes found the scar on my neck, the entire wedding began to die. Before that moment, everything had been painfully perfect. The Rosemere Hotel had been dressed in white flowers from the marble lobby to the private bridal floor. Pale orchids hung from crystal stands. Silk ribbons wrapped every door handle. Women in champagne dresses moved through the halls, with clipboards and nervous smiles, whispering into headsets as if the wedding were a royal coronation instead of a legal ceremony between 2 rich women, with perfect teeth and dangerous families. I had entered through the service corridor. Of course I had. Women like Celestine Vale entered through grand doors. Women like me carried makeup cases through side elevators and pretended not to notice when security checked our badges twice. The assistant who booked me had been careful. Too careful. She had not given the bride's full name over the phone. She had only said it was a private luxury wedding, urgent booking, generous pay, bridal suite touch-up and full ceremony look. I had almost refused. I did not like weddings. I did not like roses. I did not like working with alphas when my suppressants were thin and my old mark had been aching all week. But rent was rent, and pride did not keep the lights on, so I came. I wore black trousers, a fitted black blouse, and a high cream collar under my jacket to hide the left side of my neck. My hair was pinned back. My face was clean. My hands were steady. At least, they had been steady until the bridal suite door opened and Celestine turned around. For one terrible second, I thought my body had invented her. Memory had done that before. I had seen her reflection in cafe windows, heard her laugh in crowded stores, smelled roses and smoke in elevators where she had never stood. But this time she was real. Celestine Vale, my first love, my first alpha, my first ruin. She sat before the mirror in a pearl-white robe, dark hair falling over one shoulder, bare throat elegant, mouth curved in a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Leora," she said, as if my name were a private joke. My hand tightened around the handle of my makeup case. The bridesmaids turned. 3 women in champagne satin, perfect hair, perfect nails, soft omega scents layered with expensive perfume. They looked at me with instant interest, the way bored women look at a broken glass on the floor, something sharp, something entertaining. I should have left. I knew that now. I should have turned around, walked out, called the agency, and told them I had been tricked. But Celestine's gaze dropped to my collar. Only for a second, then her smile deepened, and I understood. She had known. She had asked for me, not because she missed me, not because she felt sorry, because she wanted one last private victory before walking down the aisle. She wanted me close enough to see what I had lost, She wanted my hands on her face while another alpha waited to marry her. So I stayed, not because I was strong, because I was angry. And anger, when it first wakes up inside an Omega trained to be quiet, feels very much like courage. "Please sit still," I said. Celestine's brows lifted. The bridesmaids exchanged glances. I opened my case, arranged the brushes, set the foundation, powder, lashes, and pigments across the vanity. I did everything slowly, professionally. I did not let her see my fingers shake. Not yet. "You look different," Celestine said. I uncapped the primer. "So do you." Her mouth curved. "Do I? You look expensive." One bridesmaid coughed into her champagne. Celestine's smile hardened. "Still sharp when you're nervous." "I'm working." "You always were good at pretending not to feel." The brush paused above her cheek. For 1 second, the room tilted backward 3 years. Rain on library windows. Celestine's hand around my wrist. Her mouth at my ear. "You feel too much, Leora. That's what makes you beautiful." Then fever, heat, her teeth in my neck. "Mine, mine, mine." And afterward, silence. No registration, no protection, no public claim. Only a half bond aching under my skin while Celestine disappeared into family dinners and polished excuses. I lowered the brush to her face. "You always were good at pretending you did." That time, no one laughed. Celestine looked at me through the mirror. For a heartbeat, the old girl flickered behind her eyes. The one who had kissed me like the world was ending, the one who had cried into my shoulder and said she hated her family, hated their rules, hated every expectation placed around her throat like diamonds. Then she vanished. The woman in the mirror returned, cold, beautiful, untouchable, careful, she said. The word slid over my skin. My mark pulsed beneath the collar. I hated that it still answered her voice, not with love, with memory, with old fear, with the body's stupid loyalty to pain. I blended foundation along her jaw. The bridesmaid closest to the window, Maribel, leaned forward. "So you two really did know each other." Celestine's gaze did not leave mine. "We were close." Close. A small word for being kissed in the dark. A clean word for being marked and abandoned. A safe word rich women used when the truth was too dirty to hold. Another bridesmaid smiled. "How close?" I picked up the concealer. Close enough to know she needs green corrector under her left eye when she hasn't slept. Maribel blinked. The third bridesmaid laughed once, then stopped when Celestine's scent sharpened. Roses and smoke. It filled the bridal suite, possessive, irritated, familiar enough to make nausea rise in my throat. Celestine tilted her chin, still observant. "It's my job." "And what else do you observe?" I dabbed concealer beneath her eye. "That you chose the wrong lipstick." Her lips parted. The bridesmaids froze. Celestine's voice lowered. "Excuse me?" I held up the tube. "Too red. Too loud. It makes you look like you're trying to prove something." Silence. Then Maribel whispered, "Oh my goddess." Celestine stared at me. I stared back. For 3 years, I had imagined what I would say if I ever saw her again. I had imagined screaming, crying, begging for an apology, slapping her, collapsing. Instead, I was telling her the lipstick was wrong. Somehow, that felt better. Celestine leaned back in the chair. "And what would you choose?" I picked up a softer shade. Something closer to the truth. Her eyes narrowed. "What truth? That you're scared?" The room went deadly still. A knock sounded at the door before she could answer. 3 sharp knocks. Controlled. Not hesitant. The bridesmaids straightened instantly. Celestine's whole body changed. Her shoulders pulled back, her scent tucked itself in. The cruel brightness left her face and became bridal softness. Performance. Perfectly timed. "Come in," she called. The door opened, and Seren Vera stepped inside. I knew who she was before anyone said her name. Some women carried power like jewelry. Seren carried it like a blade she had never once needed to draw. She was tall, dressed in an ivory-tailored suit instead of a gown. The cut was clean, almost severe, but on her it looked less like fashion and more like command. Her bronze-brown hair was pinned low at her nape. Her skin was warm against the white fabric. Her mouth was calm, but her eyes, grey, clear, quiet. The kind of eyes that noticed locked doors, trembling hands, and lies before anyone spoke them. Her scent reached me a moment later. Cedar after rain, amber, clean linen, alpha, but restrained, controlled so tightly it did not press against the room. It simply existed. My Omega body noticed anyway. A slow warmth opened under my ribs, unwanted and immediate. I stepped back from Celestine's chair. Seren saw it. She saw everything. Her gaze moved from my face to my hands, then to the brush, then to Celestine's unfinished mouth, then, briefly, to my collar, not long enough to be rude, long enough to know. Celestine smiled. "Seren, you're not supposed to see me yet." I was told, someone shouted. Her voice was low, not loud, not cold, but every bridesmaid looked down. Celestine laughed lightly. No one shouted. Seren looked at me. Is that true? The question hit harder than it should have, because she did not ask Celestine. She asked me. The hired help, the Omega with the makeup brush. The woman standing 3 steps from the door like she had already measured the distance to escape. I opened my mouth. Celestine's scent sharpened in warning. My mark pulsed. My throat tightened. Old instinct rose like a hand around my neck. Do not make it worse. Do not anger the alpha who already hurt you. Do not bleed where everyone can smell it. I'm almost finished, I said. Seren's eyes narrowed slightly. That is not what I asked. Celestine's smile thinned. She is nervous. Leora always was sensitive. Seren turned slowly toward her. Always? A tiny word. A dangerous one. Celestine's fingers tightened around the robe belt. We knew each other a long time ago. Maribel could not help herself. Very close, apparently. Seren's gaze moved to Maribel. Leave. Maribel blinked. What? All of you? Outside. The bridesmaids looked at Celestine. Celestine looked at Seren. Darling, that's unnecessary. I disagree. No raised voice. No show of dominance. Just certainty. The bridesmaids stood, Saturn whispered. Glasses clinked. Perfume shifted through the room. They slipped out one by one, suddenly less amused. The door closed. Now there were 3 of us. Celestine in the bridal chair, Seren by the door, me between them with lipstick on my fingers and an old bite hidden under my collar. Seren looked at Celestine. What is going on? Nothing. The lie had a scent, sweet rot under roses. Seren smelled it. So did I. Celestine stood, robe slipping slightly off one shoulder. A beautiful accident. She had always known how to make vulnerability look expensive. Seren, please. We're minutes from the ceremony. Then answer quickly. Celestine's eyes flicked to me. She's someone from my past. I did not expect her to be here. I laughed. It escaped before I could stop it. Small, ugly, honest. Seren looked at me. Celestine's face tightened. What is funny? You requested me by name. No, I didn't. Yes, I said. You did. Her scent flared. You don't know that. I know you. The room went quiet again. Seren did not interrupt. She let silence do what power often prevented. She let the truth walk forward. Celestine's eyes turned bright. Anger first, then panic. Leora. My name in her mouth used to soften me. Now it scraped. I set the lipstick down. I should go. No, Celestine snapped. The word came too fast, too possessive. Seren heard it. I saw the moment she did. Her expression did not change, but the room grew colder around her. Why not? Seren asked. Celestine swallowed. Because she hasn't finished my makeup. Seren looked at my case. At this point, your makeup is not my concern. Celestine's head turned sharply. What does that mean? It means I am beginning to understand. I walked into a room already full of history. I touched my collar before I could stop myself. Seren's gaze followed the movement. Celestine saw that too. Her eyes darkened. Don't, she said. My hand froze. Seren looked at her. Don't what? Celestine's silence betrayed her. The mark beneath my collar throbbed once. A dull ache, a memory trying to become command. I hated myself for the way my breath caught. Seren noticed. Her alpha scent deepened, not toward me, around me, like a wall built in one breath. Leora, she said quietly. I looked at her. You do not have to show anything you don't want to show. The words landed with unbearable gentleness. Not an order. Not a request. Permission. That was what finally broke my obedience. I turned to Celestine. You don't get to say don't. Her face went pale. I lifted my fingers to the collar. Leora, she whispered. No, my voice shook. But it was mine. You said that to me after. Do you remember? I cried outside your family's estate and asked what I was supposed to do with the mark, and you said, don't cry, don't call, don't come here, don't make this worse for me. Seren became completely still. Celestine looked at the mirror, not at me. You're twisting it. I'm done twisting myself so your choices look softer. Then I pulled the collar down. The air touched the left of side of neck. The scar showed, a crescent mark, faded but unmistakable, too deep to be a lover's accident, too incomplete to be a true bond, a half-claim, an alpha's selfish wound. Celestine stared at it like she owned it. Seren stared at it like she wanted to burn the whole room around it. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. Who gave you that mark? Celestine answered quickly. It's old. Seren did not look away from me. I asked Leora. My name again. Steady. Clean. I swallowed. She did. The bridal suite changed. Not with sound. With consequence. Celestine's robe rustled as she stepped towards Seren. I can explain. Seren's eyes stayed on the scar. Was it registered? Celestine went silent. That was answer enough. Seren closed her eyes for 1 second. When she opened them, the grey had darkened. Was it consensual? Celestine's voice cut like glass. How dare you ask that? How dare you avoid it? I loved her. The sentence hit me like a slap. 3 years. 3 years waiting for words that now arrived dressed as defense. I laughed. My eyes burned. You loved me? Celestine turned to me. Her expression softened, and I hated that some part of me still recognized the shape of it. I did. You marked me during my first heat, refused to register it, let your family call me a social climber, and disappeared. I was scared. So was I. You had no idea what my family would have done. I know exactly what they did. They won. Celestine flinched. Good. Let it hurt. Let one sentence bruise her, the way her silence bruised years of me. Seren looked between us. How did she end up here today? Celestine's mouth closed. I answered. She requested me through my agency. Celestine snapped. That is not proven. Seren removed her phone from her pocket. It will be. A knock came at the door. Maribel's voice floated through. Celestine? The photographer is asking for robe shots. Seren did not look away from Celestine. No photographs. Maribel hesitated. What? No photographs. No ceremony. Keep everyone outside. Celestine's face emptied. Seren. Seren finally turned to her fully. You brought a former Omega Bond into your bridal suite to humiliate her on our wedding day. It was not like that. You let your bridesmaids mock her. I told them not to be rude. You hid an unregistered half-bond from me. Celestine's scent twisted. Fear, not grief. Fear. The difference was ugly. You cannot cancel a wedding over an old mistake. Seren's voice dropped. No, I cancel it over the woman standing in front of me making the same choice again. Celestine's eyes filled. A perfect tear gathered at her lower lashes. She had always been able to cry beautifully. I used to think that meant she felt deeply. Now I knew she just practiced. Seren, please, she whispered. Do not humiliate me in front of everyone. Seren's eyes flicked to my exposed neck, then back. You should have thought of humiliation before you arranged an audience for hers. Celestine looked at me then, not with love, with accusation. As if I had done this. As if my wound had walked into the room and ruined her dress. You always make people choose you, she said. The old version of me would have folded. The old version would have apologized for being in the way. But Seren stood beside me now. Not touching, not claiming, just standing there, making it impossible for me to pretend I was alone. No, I said. I begged you to choose me once. I will never do that again. Celestine's tear finally fell. It did not move me. That scared me at first. Then it freed me. Seren opened the door. Women in hotel uniforms stood outside, pretending not to listen and listening anyway. Behind them, the bridesmaids looked pale. The photographer clutched her camera against her chest. Seren spoke calmly. Please escort Miss Vale to the family room. The ceremony is paused until further notice. Celestine's head snapped up. You can't do this. I already have. This is my wedding. No, Seren said. It was almost ours. The words landed quietly, more final than shouting. For a moment, Celestine looked young. Not innocent, just young. A woman caught at last by the door she had closed on someone else. Then her face hardened. She gathered the robe around herself and walked out. No one followed her. The door closed. The room exhaled. My knees gave a warning tremble. I grabbed the vanity. Seren turned instantly. Sit down. The alpha command in her voice brushed my nerves. I stiffened. Seren heard herself. Her expression changed. Softer. Please. That one word undid what the command had almost taken. I sat on the edge of a chair that was not Celestine's. My hands were trembling so hard the lipstick on my fingers smeared against my palm. Red. Like blood. Like a smile. Seren went to the water table, poured a glass and set it beside me. Not in my hand. Close enough to take. Far enough to refuse. I am sorry, she said. I stared at the glass. For what? For walking into this too late. A laugh broke out of me, bitter and wet. You didn't even know me an hour ago. I know. Then you're not responsible. No, she said. But I am still sorry no one walked in sooner. My throat tightened. The bridal suite blurred. I pressed my fingers to my eyes. Don't be kind. Seren was silent for a moment. Why? Because I don't know where to put it. Her scent shifted. Warm cedar. Rain. Restraint. Then leave it on the table until you do. A sob rose in my chest. I swallowed it down so hard it hurt. Downstairs, the music stopped. Voices rose faintly through the floors. A wedding was a machine. Once one gear broke, every other part screamed. I looked at Seren. Are you really cancelling it? Yes, because of me. No. The answer came too fast to be polite. Because of her. I touched the edge of my collar. It had fallen low. The mark was still visible. Seren's gaze did not drop to it this time. She looked only at my face. You should not leave through the lobby, she said. There will be guests.
Possibly reporters.
My stomach turned. I don't want anyone to know. They won't. You can't promise that. I can promise they won't know from me. That was fair. That was more than fair. I reached for the water and drank. My hand shook. The glass clicked against my teeth. Seren's fingers flexed once at her side, as if she wanted to help and was physically stopping herself, I noticed. So did she. Do you have somewhere safe to go? She asked. Yes, a lie. Not completely. I had a rented room above a flower shop, a door that locked if I lifted the handle first, and an old beta woman downstairs who threatened rude customers with pruning shears. Safe enough. Seren heard the lie anyway. Alphas always did when they were listening. But she did not expose it. Instead, she said, I can have the North Service elevator cleared. It exits near Belwyn Street. I know. You do. I've worked here before. Her expression changed, a small, aching thing, as if she suddenly saw all the back doors I had used to enter beautiful rooms. I stood. I'll pack my case. You don't have to rush. Yes, I do, because if I stayed, I would cry. Because if I cried here, I would never stop. Because the room still smelled like Celestine's roses, and my body did not know the danger was over. I packed fast, brushes into rolls, pallets closed, sprays capped, sponges sealed away, the familiar ritual of making myself portable. Seren called someone while I worked. Her voice stayed low. Clear the North Service elevator. No staff questions, no guest access. And Mireia, I need you upstairs. A pause. Yes, it's bad. Another pause. No statement yet. She ended the call. I zipped the case. At the door, I stopped. Seren. She looked at me. My chest tightened around her name. I had no right to feel anything. She had no right to matter. Not today. Not like this. But grey eyes held me steady in a room where my past had tried to eat me alive. Thank you, I said. She shook her head once. Do not thank me for refusing cruelty. I don't know what else to do. Then get home safely. That is enough. Enough. The word followed me into the hall. A woman with silver hair and a slate blue suit met us near the service elevator. Mireia Veira. I knew her from charity articles and hotel openings. She looked at my neck once, then at my face. Not pity, assessment, then anger, clean and contained. So, she said, Celestine Vale has been busy. Seren's voice was calm. She arranged this. Mireia nodded as if she had already guessed. Of course she did. I wanted to vanish. Instead, Mireia turned to me. Do you want your name kept out of this? Yes, done. I blinked. That easy? No, Mireia said. But done. The elevator opened. Seren stayed outside. She did not step in. She did not follow. She only handed me the small bag I had forgotten beside the vanity. Our fingers almost touched. Almost. She stopped before they did. My breath caught anyway. Leora, she said. Yes. If anyone contacts you, do not answer unless you want to. My aunt will make sure your agency understands the situation. Mireia smiled without warmth. I will enjoy it. The elevator doors began to close. Seren's eyes stayed on mine until the gap became too narrow. Then she was gone. The descent was silent. 21 floors. 21 breaths I had to force into my lungs. When the doors opened behind the hotel florist entrance, I walked out into the side street and nearly collapsed against the brick wall. The city had no idea my life had just split open. Cars passed. Women carried shopping bags. A cyclist shouted at someone in traffic. Normal life. Absurdly normal. I laughed. Then I cried. Not elegantly. Not like Celestine. I cried with lipstick on my fingers and foundation on my sleeve, clutching my makeup case like it was the last solid object in the world. I cried for the girl in the library, for the fever, for the bite, for the years of high collars and scent blockers. For every time I had made myself smaller so Celestine could remain beautiful in everyone else's memory. When the crying stopped, something else remained. Not peace, not healing, something rawer, space. I walked home. I ignored 3 calls from my agency, then 4, then 7. By the time I reached Belwyn Street, my feet hurt and the sky had turned violet. The flower shop below my room was still open. Anka was trimming lilies behind the counter. She looked up, saw my face, saw my exposed mark, and set the shears down. "Tea?" she asked. The kindness almost broke me again. Yes. She locked the door behind me and turned the sign to closed. No questions, no fuss. Just tea in a chipped blue cup and a stool near the counter. For 10 minutes, I said nothing. Anka waited. That was her gift. She knew silence could be shelter when everyone else demanded explanation. Finally, I said, Celestine was the bride. Anka's mouth tightened. Ah, she requested me. Cruel woman. She marked me. I know. I looked up. She shrugged. I did not know who, but I know marks. I know hiding. I know the way women touch their collars when ghosts walk by. My eyes burned again. The alpha bride cancelled the wedding. Anka's brows rose. Good woman? I don't know. That is often where good starts. The bell over the shop door rang before I could answer. We both turned. Seren stood outside the glass door. She had changed out of the ivory jacket, but still wore the vest and trousers. Her hair had loosened, bronze strands falling near her cheek. She looked less like a bride now, more like a woman who had left a burning building and refused to look back until everyone else was safe. Anka picked up her pruning shears. Should I open the door? I stared at Seren. She did not knock again. She did not wave. She simply waited. My heart did something foolish, something dangerous. Yes, I said. Anka opened the door but did not move aside immediately. State your purpose. Seren looked at her, then at the shears. I came to return something. She lifted a makeup brush. Gold handle. My initials scratched near the ferrule. I had left it behind. Of course I had. Anka glanced at me. Likely story. Seren nodded. It is also true. That answer seemed to please her. She stepped aside. Seren entered, and the shop changed. Not because she dominated it. Because she tried very hard not to. Her scent stayed restrained, cedar and amber held close beneath the wet green smell of cut stems. She placed the brush on the counter. I should not have come without asking, she said. I apologize. I stared at the brush. You came across the city to return a brush? No. Honest. Too honest. I came to make sure you were safe. The brush was an excuse. Anka made a sound that might have been approval. I should have been angry. Part of me was. The other part, the tired, broken animal inside my ribs, wanted to step closer to the warmth of her voice. You could have called, I said. I did not have your number. You could have not come. Yes. Why didn't you? Seren looked at me. Because she was powerful, I expected a polished answer. Because she was alpha, I expected confidence. Instead, she said, because I kept seeing your face when the elevator closed. The flower shop went quiet. Anka suddenly became very interested in arranging violets far away from us. I wrapped both hands around my tea. I'm not your responsibility. I know. I don't need another alpha deciding what I need. I know that too. Do you? Her gaze dropped for the first time. Not submissive, respectful. I am trying to. That made it difficult to stay angry. I hated that. Seren reached into her coat and placed a card beside the brush. Myrea's contact. A lawyer's number is on the back. Only if you choose. Your agency has been told not to retaliate. Celestine's family has been warned that any public accusation involving you will be answered with proof that they arranged the booking. I stared at the card. Proof outside my body, outside my memory, outside the scar. You have proof? Yes. The request came from Celestine's private assistant. Your name was specified. The air left me. I knew it. I know. No, I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know it. Not in a way anyone else would believe. Sarah's expression softened. Now they do. Something inside me loosened, so suddenly I had to sit. Anka put a hand on my shoulder. Seren stayed still. No crowding, no touching, no alpha comfort forced into my space. I noticed every inch she did not take. Thank you, I whispered. Seren looked as if the words hurt. Please don't thank me for correcting damage I helped benefit from. I frowned. You didn't know, no, but my world rewards women like Celestine for knowing exactly how to hide damage. There was grief in that sentence. Not for Celestine. For herself, maybe. For every room she had trusted because it looked clean. Anka poured Seren tea without asking, then pointed the pruning shears at her. You hurt this girl. I sell flowers at your funeral. Seren accepted the cup. That is fair. I choked on a laugh. Anka nodded, satisfied, and disappeared into the back room with all the subtlety of a thunderstorm. Seren and I stood alone by the counter. The city darkened beyond the glass. The shop lights made everything gold. Her phone buzzed again and again. She ignored it. You should answer, I said. Probably. Family? Probably. Are they angry? Definitely. Because of me. No. I looked at her. She corrected herself. Because of my decision. You are not responsible for it. My fingers found the edge of my collar. It was still low. The mark showed. Seren's eyes flickered to it, then back to my face. No hunger, no disgust, no claim, only a careful pain. Does it hurt? She asked. Not now. When does it? When I'm scared. When Celestine is close. Sometimes when an alpha scent is too strong. Her mouth tightened. Mine? I should have lied. I did not. Not the same way. The air warmed. Seren went very still. My omega body noticed the change in her scent. Cedar, amber, rain, a deeper note beneath it, restrained almost violently, want, not taken, not pushed, held back so hard it trembled. My fingers tightened around the tea cup. Seren looked away first, giving me privacy from my own reaction. The kindness of that almost hurt more than being stared at. You can look, I said before I could lose courage. Her eyes returned slowly. Are you sure? Yes. She looked at me then, not only at the mark, at the dried mascara beneath my eyes, the lipstick stain on my fingers, the collar half open at my throat. The woman who had walked into a wedding as a ghost and come out breathing. I felt exposed. But not small. My scent rose before I could stop it. Soft, omega warm, nervous, alive. Seren inhaled once, shallow, then set her cup down and took one step back. My heart twisted. You don't have to move away. I do if I am not certain my closeness is helping. What if I want you closer? Her eyes darkened. Then you tell me that when today is not soaked in shock. I stared her. A laugh escaped me. You are painfully controlled. Yes, that was not a compliment, I know. But her mouth curved, small, brief, enough to make my pulse stumble. Anka returned at exactly the wrong right moment. I have a leak upstairs, she announced. I blinked. No, you don't. A very real imaginary leak. Anka. She took off her apron. It will take 15 minutes to inspect. Maybe 20 if I am slow. Seren looked almost alarmed. Please don't leave on my account. I am leaving on hers. Anka pointed at me. Drink tea. Do not make lifelong decisions dehydrated. Then she pointed at Seren. Remain respectful or become compost. Seren nodded solemnly. Understood. Anka left through the back staircase. The shop became too quiet, too warm, too full of flowers and almosts. Seren looked toward the door. I should go. You keep saying things like that. You keep giving me reasons to stay. I looked at her sharply. She did not take it back. My skin warmed. This is a terrible day to say that, I whispered. Yes, you cancelled your wedding this afternoon. Yes. I was humiliated by my ex in a bridal suite. Yes. I still have her mark on my neck. Seren's voice softened. Yes, so whatever this is, does not need to become anything tonight. I swallowed. And if it wants to. Her breath changed. Only slightly. But I heard it, felt it. Then we let it want without obeying it. That sentence moved through me like a hand-smoothing, wrinkled fabric. Want without obeying it. I did not know alphas could think that way. Celestine had treated wanting as permission, as proof, as ownership waiting for a prettier name. Seren treated it like fire, warm, dangerous, to be tended, not thrown. I set my tea down. You can touch my hand. Seren's gaze dropped to my fingers. Are you sure? Yes. She held out her hand palm up. Not reaching for me. Offering me the choice of distance. I placed my fingers in hers. The first contact was small, warm skin. Steady pulse. No old pull, no ghost. Only a quiet spark under my hand. My mark did not ache. I almost cried from that alone. Seren felt the change in me. What happened? It didn't hurt. Her expression shifted. Fury and tenderness moved together across her face. Not pity. Never pity. Good, she said, voice rough. I laughed softly. You say that like you want to threaten my scar. I do. That is ridiculous. Yes. Her thumb brushed my knuckles once. A question. I did not pull away. The air between us tightened, not with danger, with restraint, with everything that could happen and would not. Because both of us were choosing not to turn pain into hunger too quickly. Seren's voice lowered. I would like to see you again. My chest tightened. When? When you ask. I looked down at our hands. You won't come before that? No. Even if you want to. Especially then. My fingers curled around hers. What if I don't know how to ask? Then send a period. A blank message. A flower emoji. Anything. I will ask if you meant it. I smiled before I could stop myself. A flower emoji? You live above a flower shop. Very observant. Yes. The warmth in her eyes frightened me. Not because it was cruel, because it was not. Seren, I whispered. Yes, I don't want to belong to someone because they saved me. Her hand stilled. Good. I blinked. Good. Yes, you should not. I don't want to be your proof that you're better than Celestine. Her expression sharpened with pain. I would deserve to lose you before having you, if I tried. The words struck deep. Before having you, not owning, not claiming. Having, as in being trusted with presence. I breathed slowly. I don't know what I am ready for. Then we do not guess. The shop bell chimed faintly in the wind, though the door was closed. I looked at our joined hands and realized I was not shaking anymore. Not much. Outside, headlights slid across the glass. Inside, violets, lilies, and cut stems surrounded us like silent witnesses. I need a rule, I said. Seren's attention sharpened. For you, for me, for this. For anything. Name it. If I say stop, you stop. Yes. If I say leave, you leave. Yes. If I say wait, you wait. Yes. No punishment, no wounded pride, no making me feel guilty for needing air. Her eyes held mine. Agreed. I waited for the catch. There was none. The absence of it felt like standing at the edge of an open door. My throat tightened. You agree too easily. Respect should be easy. Want is the complicated part. A breathless laugh escaped me. You're dangerous. Yes. This time, she did not soften it. She did not pretend otherwise. I know what I am, she said. That is why I have to be careful. The honesty settled something in me. I lifted our joined hands slightly. Seren watched me. I bent first and pressed my lips to my own knuckles, near where her fingers held mine. A strange, almost kiss. A promise to myself before anyone else. Then I turned my hand and let her see the invitation. Seren's eyes darkened. May I? Yes. She went slowly and kissed my knuckles. Warm, brief, devastatingly gentle. My omega scent bloomed before I could stop it. Not heat, not surrender. Trust, new and fragile. Seren closed her eyes for 1 second, as if the scent hurt beautifully. When she straightened, she was still in control. But only just. Thank you, she whispered. For letting you kiss my hand. For letting me be near you. No one had ever thanked me for that. As if my nearness was a gift, as if I was not something to take, my eyes burned. Before I could answer, my phone rang on the counter. Unknown number. The warmth vanished. I knew before I answered. Celestine. Seren saw my face. You don't have to. I know. My hand shook when I picked it up. I answered. For a second, there was only breathing. Then Celestine's voice came through. You must be proud. Seren's scent sharpened instantly. I lifted one hand. My call, my choice, my voice. What do you want? I asked. Celestine laughed softly. Is she there? Your new alpha, the old mark pulsed. I breathed through it. She is not mine. Seren's eyes stayed on me. Celestine's voice turned cold. You always do this. Find someone stronger to hide behind. No, I said. I found someone decent enough to stand beside. You don't recognize the difference because you never learned how. Silence. Then, softer. You loved me. I know. And now? I looked at Seren, not because the answer belonged to her, because she reminded me that I had one. Now I love myself enough to hang up. I ended the call. The room held still around me. My hand trembled. Then I set the phone down. Seren looked at me like I had done something extraordinary. I shook my head. Don't. Don't what? Look at me like I'm brave. Her voice was quiet. You answered a ghost. The tears came then. Only 2, hot and quick. I wiped them away angrily. Seren did not touch me. Not until I looked at her hand and reached for it myself. She held me through my fingers only. Nothing more. It was enough. When Anka came back exactly 20 minutes later, she found us standing behind the counter, hand in hand, with the tea gone cold. She looked at our hands, then at my face. Good, she said. That was all, and somehow it was everything. Later, Seren walked me upstairs. Only to the door, only because I asked. She carried my makeup case after waiting for permission. She followed 1 step below me on the narrow staircase. She did not crowd me in the hallway. She did not cross the threshold of my room. My door stuck as usual. I lifted the handle. turned the key and opened it. The small room waited inside, bed against the wall, tiny table, one window over the alley, a dish of scent blockers beside my keys. Seren saw them. Her expression did not change, but sorrow moved through her scent. I stepped inside and took the makeup case. Thank you. You're welcome. The hallway light flickered above her. She looked tired now. Not like a bride, not like a Vera, like a woman who had held herself together too long. You should sleep, I said. So should you. I will you? Probably not. Her mouth curved. Honest, I'm trying it. It suits you. My heart did that foolish thing again. I touched my collar, then, slowly, lowered it. The mark showed fully in the hallway light. Seren's gaze moved to it. No hunger, no ownership, only reverence for the fact that I had chosen to show her. This is not an invitation, I said. I know. It's just, I don't want to hide it from you. Her throat moved. Thank you. I believed she understood what I was giving. Not my body, not my bond, not permission to touch, only truth. And sometimes truth was the most naked thing an Omega could offer. I lifted the collar again because the hallway was cold. Seren stepped back. Lock the door. I will. Eat something. You're bossy. Yes, there it is. She smiled. Small. Real. Then she turned and walked down the stairs. I watched until she disappeared. Only then did I close the door. I lifted the handle, turned the key, locked it. For a long moment, I stood with my forehead against the wood. My room smelled like me. Not roses, not smoke, not Celestine. Me. I crossed to the dish of scent blockers, picked one up, held it in my palm. 3 years of swallowing myself quiet. 3 years of making my scent small enough not to offend the world. I put it back. Not forever. Not as a declaration. Just for tonight. I made toast because Anka would ask. I drank water because Seren somehow would know. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and unbuttoned my collar. The mark looked back from the small mirror. For years I had seen Celestine there. Her mouth, her choice, her leaving. Tonight, for the first time, I saw my own neck, my own skin, my own survival. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Seren, Mireia gave me your number after threatening to replace my coffee with decaf. I am downstairs in the car. I will leave when your light turns off, unless that feels intrusive. If so, tell me, and I will leave now. I stared at the message, then laughed softly into the dark. I typed back, "It is intrusive." 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again. Before she could answer, I sent another message, but not unwelcome. 5 minutes. Her reply came quickly. 5 minutes. I looked out the window. A black car waited below the alley lamp, not hidden, not looming, just there, waiting because I had allowed it. I turned off the light after 4 minutes. Not because I wanted her gone, because I wanted to keep the rule. A final message came through. Good night, Leora. I held the phone to my chest, then typed back. Good night, Seren. I slept badly, but I slept, and for the first time in 3 years, I did not dream of roses. I dreamed of rain on cedar. I dreamed of an open door. I dreamed of standing in a bridal suite with lipstick on my fingers, while the past tried to claim me. And in the dream, when the alpha bride saw my bond mark, she did not reach for my throat. She reached for the truth. Morning came in a pale gold line across the wall. My phone was full of messages. My agency apologizing in legal language. Mireia sending the name of a lawyer with the words "only if you choose." Anka asking if I was alive even though she lived downstairs. And Seren. One message. No pressure. No demand. No sweetness designed to hook into loneliness, just this. I hope today is quieter. I read it 3 times. Then I got up. I washed my face. I chose a blouse with a lower collar than usual. Not low enough to explain everything to the world. Just low enough to stop lying to myself. The mark showed when I turned my head. I let it. Downstairs, Anka glanced at my neck and nodded. Good, that's all. That's enough. At noon, the Vera statement went public. The ceremony had been cancelled due to intentional misrepresentation by the Vale party. No private individual outside the families would be named. No further comment. My name was nowhere. My mark was nowhere. Celestine was everywhere without being spoken. By 2, my agency offered me more bookings. By 2:05, I quit. Anka laughed so hard she had to sit down. What will you do now? She asked. I looked at the back room of the flower shop. Dusty shelves, good morning light, an old mirror leaning against the wall. I don't know. Good. You say that too much, because you keep thinking not knowing means failure. I smiled. Maybe I could build something there. A chair. A mirror. A place where women came, not to be perfected, but to be seen. A place where no one had to hide a scar, unless they wanted to. A place with no roses unless I chose them. At 5, the bell rang. Seren stood outside the door. This time, she waited until I saw her. This time, I opened it. She held a small paper bag. Pastries, she said, for Anka, as tribute. Anka called from behind me, accepted. Seren's eyes moved to my collar, lower today. The mark partly visible. Her face warmed. Good afternoon, Leora. My name sounded different in daylight, less like rescue, more like beginning. Good afternoon, Seren. She entered the shop. Not like a bride, not like a saviour. Like a woman who had been invited. We drank tea at the counter. Anka ate 2 pastries and pretended not to watch us. Seren told me Mireia had frightened 3 lawyers before breakfast. I told her I quit my agency. Seren's eyes lit with quiet approval. Good. You and Anka are becoming a problem. Yes, she said, probably. Later, when Anka went to help a customer, Seren and I stood in the back room. The morning light had become evening gold. I showed her where I might put the mirror, where the chair could go, where shelves might hold brushes. She listened as if every uncertain thought I had was worth hearing. Can I help? She asked. The old part of me almost said yes too quickly. The new part waited. I don't want help that becomes debt. Then we define terms. You like contracts. I like clarity. I looked at her. What do you want from me? Seren was silent for a long moment. The careful answer, yes. I want permission to know you. My chest ached. That's the careful answer. Yes. What is the honest one? Her eyes darkened. That I want to know you slowly enough that you never have to wonder whether I am reaching for you or your wound. The room went quiet. My hand found my collar, then stopped. I did not hide. Seren saw. Her breath changed. I stepped closer. Only 1 step. Her body went very still. Seren, yes, you can hold my hand again. She held out her palm. I placed my fingers in hers. No pain, no ghost, no roses, only warmth, only choice. Only a beginning small enough not to frighten me away. She kissed my knuckles when I allowed it. This time, I smiled while she did, and outside the back room, Anka loudly told a customer that violets meant devotion, loyalty, and the kind of affection that did not need to shout to survive. I laughed. Seren looked at me. You're smiling. I know. It suits you. So does honesty, I said. Her thumb brushed my knuckles. Then I'll keep trying it. The mark on my neck remained. It would remain tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe forever. But it no longer felt like the end of my story. It was only proof that I'd survived the wrong woman long enough to meet myself again. And maybe, one day, to meet the right one without kneeling. Yesterday, I had walked into my ex's wedding as the makeup artist. I had expected to leave as a ghost. Instead, the alpha bride saw my bond mark. She saw the wound. She saw the lie. She saw me. And when the whole room waited for her to choose the wedding, the family, the perfect photograph, the clean story, the powerful silence, she chose the truth. Then she gave me the door. And this time, I walked through it on my own.